Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attacker Productions. Today I'm Bancroft being joined by a couple of people, and that being Jimmy, Jake, Trevor, and like always, Fluff.
Buddy, what's going on, y'all?
Hello.
What's up, everybody?
And like always, there's buttons, click them to there for a reason. Alright, so today's matchup is me versus Trevor, and Trevor's bringing back Boujack from earlier this week, while I'm playing Slug from earlier this week. So you guys have already seen what they could do, but this time I think you see a little bit more of interaction, because with me and Nick, my board was constantly being wiped, and I was wiping his board. But in this matchup, I'm able to kind of keep a board going. And then, Trevor, what was your differences in experiencing between this and Lineage? Was anything different by any chance?
Well, it was different in the sense that I've never played against this deck and had no idea what it did other than build it out by forcing me to draw from literally just seeing or hearing the other two matches played that you played that night. So,
Gotcha. And
funnily enough, my leader not drawing on swing actually benefits in this.
I was about to say, I think that helps you out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What was that, Jake?
I said that's huge for you, Trevor. That helps so much in this matchup.
Yep.
Yeah.
And of course, it also, in a way, with my leader, I can't use the activate battle as often because would be basically charging in energy from my deck each time I did that, so I couldn't use it quite as often because I wanted to minimize the risk in that sense.
Oh, and before we go any further, I want to mention, we've all talked about how, like, against green, those matches could last a while because door potential definitely slows the game down. I had to speed this video up for those who are curious to 250% because of how long this matchup went. And
we got kicked out of our shop because this game took so damn long.
Talk about an ass greaser. Can we go back?
So, I do know one of the things that really hurt me early on, and you can see there, I had to use a super combo as the piece. I didn't see a lot of good cards. If I'm correct, I didn't see a lot of good cards early on, but it looks like I did. But I do recall, like, for turns, I feel like 3, 4, I had 3 cards in my hand, and, like, there was no way of me getting more to my hand. And that's mainly due to your 1-drop on the board. That's a problem for my Unison, because it's at 2 markers right now. I don't have a way to put it to 3 if I'm correct. And one swing towards my Unison of your card, and it's gone.
Yep. This card, this Beto card, at first I was like, I don't know why I'd ever play this. It goes against the whole shtick of comboing from your energy to play a card, until I realized, oh yeah, unisons are a thing. So I need to have cheap double strike in the deck to deal with them. And this just showcases the power that this card holds, because it's like, well, if you need a unison for your deck to run, aka any deck that involves like a Zeno, or in this case, this card, having a double strikers for low cost is super important. So it fills the niche very well.
Remind me, the awaken on your leader, you awaken when you have a 4-cost unison in play, correct?
Specified 4 cost, or if I have 3 or less life.
3 or less life, and do you have to take your life down at all to awaken with a unison in play?
You do not.
So I honestly think that Beto is fantastic for this deck, since you don't have to be at a certain life total. So the like strike a life double strikers, like the the Saiyan Kaba line of battle cards, is while they're still fantastic, you get to see an extra card. I feel like just paying an energy in place of taking a life is much more valuable. And plus, he's a cantrip as well, right?
Yeah, so he is a draw one.
Yeah, it's nutty.
Yeah, and the Gokua that gives crit is a search top 5 for specified unison of 4 cost, or a Boujack brigade card with 3 or less cost.
And I will say, I was kind of happy to see 2 Trunkses go in there. And
Yeah, that was rough.
yeah, we joked about which one should have gone away and what. Oh, you can't charge another energy.
Oh, you're right.
So you would have been
Yep,
down to
so-
1 energy right then. Holy crap. Well, we got a misplay, guys.
A disclaimer, that's not the only one.
Just assume he did it the other order, you know.
Yeah, of course.
He just said it after. Magically.
I cannot believe I didn't catch that. I mean, well, I didn't catch the other one either, so it's all good. All right. Yeah, I don't know what
Let's see what other surprises are in for us that we might not have even noticed in our own match.
Okay, so the reason my hand was so low is because I wasn't getting any draw cards. I was able to completely flood the board with cards, but could not get any more draw cards. And I focused on your Unison because you could have charged the energy, activate Zeno, and then immediately paid for it and brought out your Majin Buu. And I'm like, I can't have you doing that. I didn't want to risk that, so I had to get rid of that one as soon as possible. That way it gives me another turn to focus on you.
Right. And this Zeno Unison, I'm still kind of going back and forth on whether or not I actually want it in the deck. Like, it's nice because it gives you God Sealing Trunks early. It gives you aspect or getting to that Majin Buu Unison early, and it gives you access to Heroic Prospect, reduce costs early. But like we saw last turn, where if you don't sequence it right, it's actually kind of a detriment to the deck. So I'm still not sure how much I love it. I'll probably play around without it and play it with it a couple more times and figure out what I enjoy and what I don't.
Speaking of that Majin Buu Unison, I've tested against it a few times, and it is a bear to get over once it's on the table.
It's you don't think it's, if you just look at the card and you see ±0, you immediately think, I don't know if I like this card. And then you realize what it actually does, and you go, this card's insane.
Oh yeah.
If you watch the Lineage matchup against Boujack, like that one single card just turned off my entire strategy.
You have to think differently when it's played. You got to think, like, how do I get around it? And especially if you're a deck that goes tall, it can be such a problematic card.
Exactly.
I was playing against it with Mecha Frieza. I had to swing Poutine at it because it had barrier. It couldn't fall victim to Boo's effect.
That's nice. I like that.
And here we're talking about how it still has +11.
I swung at it. Yeah.
Yep. And you swung at it, and then I still use Bean to give my leader 5 and untap energy for, combo purposes. That has blocker, block that swing. Which that card, it didn't do a lot of work tonight in these specific matchups that I played, but that Boujack card I think is going to be like really important because it basically locks down an opponent's tall swinger for an entire turn. They can't combo with it, and you have a blocker, so it basically can shut down upwards to 2 attacks, or possibly even 3 if you comboed enough.
I'm trying to think why I didn't swing at your 1-drop with my other 20k. Oh, because he couldn't not attack. That's right.
Right.
So you got the Majin Buu on the board. You went ahead and awakened, got to a nice little state. And now I'm kind of in the territory where I'm like, okay, that could be definitely a problematic card. I do go wide, but like I said, I think my hand's still 3. So here I'm just taking the hits now. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, swing at me. Do it, please.
Yeah, I was kind of trying to decide. It's like, well, we got to start wearing him down at least a little bit, but I also want to keep his board at least, a little controlled. So we swing at some of your board here, forget something has blocker. That's day in the life of me.
I really wish I did not charge the, I think it's like Thornton of Plans or something like that, Lord Slug, because, now Jimmy, correct me if I'm wrong, does the card in combo have to stay in the combo area until the end of battle to get its effect?
Let me look at the wording on those cards.
Because that 3-drop Slug auto is when my opponent combos a card, I can just get rid of it.
It specifies if at the end of a battle when this card is used in a combo, you can tap 1, or in case of Boujack the Evildoer, tap 2, and then it comes into play. And you play it from drop.
So
But if it's not used in a combo because you removed it, I don't think I could play it.
That's what my assumption is.
kind of like the Bardock apes.
So in this case, the way the specific card is worded, it does have to remain in the combo area until the end of the battle. I am blanking on the name of the card currently, but there are cards that are printed that when this card is placed in the drop area from a combo area, you will get a specific effect. So in the case of Slug, placing a card from your opponent's combo area into the drop area, they will still get the effect, but in the case of these cards, you will not get the effect.
Yeah, so he could have stopped a lot of Trevor's shenanigans here had that Slug been in play.
Mm-hmm.
And see, Bancroft, you've also got the painful choice. That's not the name of the card, but it's like the Sophie's Choice Slug in your energy as well.
Dark Parasite?
That would have been nice to have as well. Yes.
Yeah. So the reason why it's in my energy, it was before he played his 4-drop, if I'm correct. Before he played his Unison. And in my current hand, if I'm correct, was a Dormant Potential, a card for Dormant Potential, and my Secret Rare. And I'm like,
yeah, probably charge that too.
Yeah. Actually, I think the Anzilla was in my hand. And I'd rather play that, potentially either pull another Unison to my hand, or a Slug that would work. In this case, I pulled the 2-drop to my hand, so I could go digging for another Slug and put it to my hand.
I really like the toolboxy style of this deck, and it's a really unique strategy where you kind of let your opponent get greedy and draw a bunch of extra cards, and then at the end of the game, there's just nothing left.
Yeah.
I always, people at the shop make fun of me because I sound like a broken record when I say this, but any deck that forces your opponent to make choices, the more choices you can force your opponent to make, the more likely you are to win. And in the case of Slug, when you're giving your opponent so many cards and then they have the choice of putting cards back, you have it's plus and minuses in both scenarios. And if they do choose to put cards back at the bottom of the deck, unless it's like a completely flat out useless card, they could even make the wrong choice on what to put back.
Yeah.
And they could put back a card that could help them win the game later on, and they're not thinking that far ahead. So I feel like against a player that has their game plan, has their strategy focused out, you could hurt yourself playing Slug. But a player that is not, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm blanking, I'm sorry. Has not planned out everything, could beat themselves by putting the wrong cards back.
Yeah, if you're not thinking multiple turns ahead.
Yeah. It's a very interesting strategy, and I really like the style of that deck.
And I will say, I've used so far, I think, 3 Dormant Potentials on that 1/1 drop every single time. Because it is such a pain to go at my Unison with a potential double strike that will just knock 2 markers off.
Yep, and I remember asking, I was like, how many Dormants have you played at this point? At some point during this match, because I was like, I feel like you've played a ton of them.
Yeah, I played 5 in the deck.
So much, because that card does so much work that it feels like opponent plays more than 4, because it literally just shuts off your turn if they have all 4 in their hand, which you will with this Slug deck.
And I love the fact that you put that 4-drop back in my deck, so I can go fishing for it with this other 2-drop again. And for 3 energy, technically 2 energy, because he resands the energy afterwards, I play it and a 3-drop for my drop area.
Yeah, this is my inexperience against Slug, and just thinking or seeing your board being so wide and just being like, I don't want to take too many hits. So I was just trying to remove stuff, but not knowing what I should remove just from inexperience.
So here I'm at the point where I need to get rid of your Unison. Not just because the fact that it's a pain in my ass, but because it's a pain in my ass. It's a blocker, it gets rid of a card. And you hold off on using your -1, I think, till the very end. Just to get rid of it.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if you would play something else that I could minus, for some reason, of course, that I could get rid of, that I would want to get rid of.
Well, that's why I held off on playing that 4-drop. Because I think I do play it this turn. Because I didn't want it to be KO'd right away. And I think here I think I might be trying to bait. Yeah, I think I was trying to bait something out. And here your auto will go off and you're choosing what to put, I think, what, bottom of my deck, I think?
Yeah, it goes bottom.
And I'm here kind of explaining like what certain things do and stuff like that, and you choose to go with the the counterplay instead.
Was the correct choice? Who knows? Definitely not me.
So I love that you tried to trust me though.
Well, he had a Unison earlier in the thing.
Yeah.
I did, and it literally in my head I was just like, oh, I got Unison, we'll counterplay something this turn. Nope, just kidding.
And here I'm just trying to do what I can to get you down. And it benefits me in two ways. Either you choose not to take the damage and combo cards from your hand, and then when you get to the point where it's like, do you want to put cards back in your hand? You have less cards to worry about. And this, I'm going to say Vegeta card, because this entire time, like Jimmy had mentioned in an earlier video, I thought it was a Vegeta because it's clearly right there in the front. Like, you barely even see Boujack in the back. I'm like, okay, he's playing the Vegeta. He draws one. I got you. Okay, I'm good still.
Like, you see like half of Bojack's face and his hair. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I realized, it's not this turn. I think it's your next turn. But you evolve it, and I'm like, you can't. Oh, what? I was completely thrown off by it.
I don't remember the name of the card, but there's a 1-drop Frieza card that has Trunks just like slicing the shit out of him, and I always thought that was a Trunks card.
Yeah.
And I tried playing it in like a Saiyan's deck, and I was like, oh wait, hold up, like that says Frieza. What the fuck? Like it's the same. It's like the same style of art. Like Vegeta is just the focus of the card. It's really odd.
Yep.
And of course, he's getting owned too.
Yeah. I mean that's standard.
And getting this Unison was off of Lord Slug's ability, letting me draw. So that basically I got to keep which cards I wanted and which cards I didn't need anymore, and get rid of those. So the double-edged sword that is Slug hurt him in this case, but against any other deck where you're drawing off leader and drawing a ton of other cards from various other things,
right.
that wouldn't matter as much. Here it is.
Misplay.
Disclaimer.
All right, so it's the same way when you tried playing Trunks against me, and I'm like, you don't have a Unison board. And so, like, I swing, you do hat check, I'm like, cool, I've had this counter, I'm going to go play the counter. And you're like, Trunks, I'm like, you can't, what? You can't. And I was so baffled, and I'm like, okay, I guess you just put it back to my hand and nothing happens. And you're like, are you sure that's it? And I'm like, yeah, that's it. And then after our match, and after me and Jimmy get done hanging out, I shoot you a Discord message saying, we misplayed big time at the end. So it's counter. You countered the counter card and then play this card. So Hatchak would have been gone. The attack still would have gone through, and then you would have bounced my counter back to my hand with Trunks.
Correct.
But we didn't do that. And I'm like, oh, you just counter my counter, even though Trunks is a counter play card. So
Play. Yeah.
this was the second misplay of the game. We do apologize. We'll do better next time. It's like Fluff says, we make mistakes so you don't have to.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. And that, sorry, Jake, just real quick. And that right there changes the course of this whole game because of this move right here. I had the pass turn, and you just swung with Unison. I couldn't do anything about it. I have no negates. I took the hit, and then you swung and comboed those cards off. I had a whole field, and I still had more cards in my hand to continue pushing on my turn. But I felt like I had to stop. And so we don't really know if that one misplay changed the result of this game or not. Would you use those combos then, second cards back to your hand for future plays on your turn or not? You wouldn't have a big enough body. Because I think you out-comboed me by like 10k, I think. Or maybe 15k.
Yeah. So I out-comboed you by 5 there at the end. It all just depends on how much you tried to kill me on your turn after that turn of events went. It's like, how much of your resources are you going to use to try and kill me? Because I still had 5 life.
True, yeah.
So you would have been swinging with like a whole bunch of 10s and 20s. And but I still had 5 life. I still had my blocker. I still had the auto from my Majin Buu. So who knows? And there's a lot of things that we really cannot recreate in that very specific situation.
And truth be told, I would have focused on your Unison because I knew you only had 2 in your deck, if I'm correct.
3.
You had 3? Did you put third one in there? Okay.
Yep.
I knew you borrowed. I thought it was 2 that you borrowed from us, so I couldn't remember.
Well, there should be 3 in there. If I only put in 2, that's on me.
Okay. So yeah, like, I still believe you have the game, even though you did that big misplay in the very beginning of the game, which gives you an extra energy, but we don't know. And with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Click those buttons there for a reason. Trevor, last words.
Yeah. Practice, read your cards, and have your friends read your cards so that they can help you figure out how things work, because you will miss them.
Before Jake's last words, I cut Jake off earlier. I do apologize. What were you going to say, unless it's not important anymore?
I was gonna say, I think you even though counterplaying the Boujack right there, that's who it is, right?
Baby Janimba.
Boonimba.
Yeah, sorry.
I think you counterplay the Boonimba even though it doesn't stop your baby like even save your baby hash. I think you counterplay it anyway. Like, I think you still make that play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends, because like he would play it and it'd come in, but I could auto -1 on my Unison and get rid of it.
Correct.
Right. But I mean, if you're not gonna counterplay like a 7-drop triple striker, right?
Yeah.
What are you gonna counterplay?
Exactly, yeah.
So, Jake, last words.
Counterplay 7-drop triple strikers. If you got
Jimmy?
I would just like to apologize to a friend of mine, Avery. Her wedding was actually during the our weekly tournament, and I was invited, and I told her I was going to go, and I forgot about it, and I ended up going and playing cards. And I said I was going to apologize, but I'm not actually really that sorry, because I don't really like you all that much. But you're never going to watch this video, so you're not going to know that. Fuck you, Avery.
Wait, I have never mind. Fluff.
Where do we go from there? What does this mean? What is this life that we're living? Read your cards, know your plays. We make mistakes so you don't have to, especially Jimmy. Fluff out.